So just a very quick background about me and what this is going to be about. I'm going to talk about the Autotask 2021.1 updates. Just to put a caveat out there, this is brand new. I've literally only seen this in the last couple of days. So there may be some things I don't know. And obviously I don't work for Autotask, or I don't work for Datto or for the company anymore. So there may be some things I don't know the answers to. This is just my take on this, just having a very fresh look on what's coming and how things are going to work. So just a quick, I know some of you guys already know who I am. Certainly, as most of you are all in the tech tribe already. But just a quick rundown about who I am. I ran an MSP business. I sold that business in 2012. I then went to work at Autotask in the UK, and I headed up the technical team, so the pre-sales and the post-sales implementation team. And then I started as an independent consultant back in 2017. And I recently wrote a book, which is a book called PSA Profitability, and it's available on Amazon. It would be good if I could spell the word available. So what I'm going to go through today is to kind of talk a little bit about some of the new stuff that's coming out in this new release. And there's one or two things that are coming out in this new release, and I just want to go through what those are. So there's a new CRM screen. Company categories, kind of very similar to what you have in ticket categories, that kind of thing. Then we also got configuration, item versioning, and rollback. Some other updates I wanted to point out to you. And then, some of the widgets, Autotask has this thing called Help Me Choose or Show Me or something to that effect. So I'll kind of show you where they're going with that. And then just some of the other updates. And then we'll take some Q&A. I am hosting this myself today, so if there are any questions in that you guys have, just put them in the Q&A panel and I'll do my best to answer them. I may not be able to come straight back immediately, but I will get to them. So just a little bit about me. If you want to contact me, you can either contact me through psaprofitability.com or through our consulting website, which is sondelaconsulting.com. So that's enough with the PowerPoint. Let's kind of get on and start to look at some of the stuff that is coming out. So this is a brand new release, as I said, and it's literally going to be, as far as I'm aware, it is probably going to be coming out, I think, next week in the US. Although I have heard that it's been halted for a week or two, so it might be later on this month, but it is an imminent release. So the first thing I wanted to go through was to kind of talk about the new company screen. So when you click on the plus button and go into the account, one of the things you'll notice in here is the way in which you create new accounts has completely changed. Obviously, for any of you who've been using Autotask for any length of time, we'll see that this is exactly the same as the ticket screen, the configuration item screen, where Autotask is going down the route of having account categories. And then you can completely customize any of this information in here. So, for example, you could say if this was a lead or a prospect, and based on the type of category it is, we'll determine what information gets filled in here. And one of the other things you will see is that you now have the ability to create a contact like this. So rather than in the old way of doing it, or the current way of doing it, I should say, there was the information there to fill in the contact. And now this is something you actually have to check and say and you can see it says it's optional, so you don't have to create a contact. And the same thing with, creating a note or a to-do, you can just check these little boxes and away they go. So let's have a look and see what actually happens when we actually have created the account and what information we see on the screen. So here is some information about this company I've created. So you can see that it's using the standard category. So I've just left everything here the same. The address is now nicely formatted down the left-hand side. So very similar to what you would have on the ticket. And the same thing in same thing as you can do with ticket categories, is you can completely move and change these around. So if you wanted, this tax region or tax information to be near the top, you can simply move that to wherever you want it to be. The other thing they've now started to do is very similar to what you got with tickets here as well. So, any tickets for this customer are listed here now. The same thing with configuration items. So again, instead of having that little drop down here next to the dashboard where you find all of this information, it's all along the top here in tabs. And then all the other stuff that you're doing as well. So invoices and all the other good stuff that used to be here, or that is currently here in a little drop down arrow, it's all been moved to over here now. Okay. And then we also have the ability to, to see some information about the account history. So any changes that have been made on this account, again, very similar to what you have with tickets, we now are able to see all of that information in here. Okay, so it's kind of really cool. I quite like it. I think it looks pretty cool and looks pretty funky. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show in here is something else that's coming up in the system, is what they call configuration item versioning and rollback. So let's say, for example, we have a configuration item. So I'm just going to close some of these down. So from this company, we'll access our configuration item. So here you can see we've got a Dell workstation. Now, what I can do at this point, if I click onto this Dell workstation, any changes that get made now get logged. And under the tools option here, I have the ability to do a configuration item history, and I can also do the version history as well. So if I look at item history, this is showing me, the configuration item was created at this point, and also then the serial number was changed, and it was changed from blank to something. So what I have the ability to do, if I click on versions, now I can say, well, actually, I want to use this version now to be my new configuration item. I want to roll back to any change, or actually I want to roll back to here where I created it, because I don't want this configuration item serial number anymore. So I can simply click on the date here. And then what this will give me the ability to do is I can click up here and say, roll back to this version. So this is now allowing me to say, I'm just going to go ahead and roll back. So if I do that, then what this will do is it will go ahead and it'll roll back to that version. And then I can just say finish rollback. And now that configuration item without the serial number is now my, you can see it's now removed the serial number that was changed. Okay, so this is one of the really cool things. So if somebody goes in and makes any kind of change anywhere to a configuration item, then you have the ability now to do that rollback and to make these changes. It also does the same thing in the documentation as well. This doesn't actually have the documentation set up on this test environment, so I'm not going to be able to show you this from a documentation perspective, but it's the same thing. If you have a document, you're going to be able to go back and roll back that document. Okay, so a couple of other things that I wanted to go through and show you. When it comes to doing widgets, so once you've got an empty space on a dashboard to create a widget, you'll see there's actually a brand new feature down here now called Show Me. So this is basically saying, instead of you having to start with a new widget or choose a widget from the widget library, you can simply go Show Me, and you can use a bunch of these predefined ones that Autotask have determined needs to be here. So for example, show me my total revenue billed last month, or show me my contracts expiring soon. So very quickly in here, you can say, show me my contracts expiring soon, click on next, click on finish, and you're good to go. You now have, all of the contracts that are expiring soon. So whilst these have already been on the system somewhere else, Autotask is giving you the ability to kind of use this so that you can start to, get the stuff that most people will want to use. Okay, so I think that's pretty cool and quite funky. So you have the ability to kind of very quickly go and create those as well. Now, actually going back to the configuration item, sorry, one thing I should have shown while I was on the configuration item screen, there's actually two things that have changed a little bit. So with this versioning, there's now an Insights tab here that actually shows you what those versions are. So I don't have to necessarily go to the tools and go to version history. What I can do is simply just look at these versions here, and then just do exactly the same thing. So click on the version, and then I can roll back. So you have the ability to add this version insight. And this is added in the same way that you add anything else or any other kind of thing on the system. So any other kind of insight. And that is, if you go to the features and settings, and then we go to configuration items, configuration item categories, and let's just pick the standard category at this point. And then one of the things is now, if you click on insights, you can see, here's the version insight, which I can just add. And then of course, you may not know this, but with these insights, you can just move them wherever you want them to be. And then it just shows the version information at the place that you've moved it to. Okay, the other really cool thing about configuration items that I noticed as I was playing with this is when you actually create a configuration item now, in the past, you've had to have a product already set up for the configuration item. So you would always have to choose a product in here. So what Autotask now does is they have the ability for you to go in and actually create the product at the same time as the configuration item. So here, you can just go in and add whatever product you want. So, let's call this HP server. You would simply come in here, add whatever you need as far as this product is concerned. And then you would simply save and close. And now you can see it automatically adds the product there. So in your current version, you won't see this. You will have had to have already had the product and then go and click on it from there. So that's a really cool change that Autotask have made as well. Okay, so one or two other little bits and pieces I wanted to go through. This isn't a massive, huge release. There are a few little things that I wanted to point out. But one of the things you will notice, for any of you that have ever been into the admin module, we used to have admin and then features and settings. And if you look up here, we have a whole bunch of different things now. So what they've effectively done is they've broken up all of these things into the different categories. So accounts, users, or account settings and users is now in its own category. Features and settings is still there, but it only includes some of the stuff. And then we've got things like activations, automations, and things like workflow rules fall under automations, ticket tagging, auto forms, that kind of thing. And then, all about your organization and the users fall under this particular section here. So just gives you the ability to kind of, see it grouped differently and a completely different look and feel to the way that it was before. Okay, so there are a few other little changes that I want to go through. So one of them is when you click on your name, you've always been able to change your profile, but there's a slightly different preferences tab now. When you click on preferences, it will give you the ability to do a bunch of things. And one of them is you can now open tickets and task entries inside a window. So instead of opening it up as a separate window or a separate tab, it basically just docks it inside the ticket window. So again, a real cool change. And one of the other things that Autotask have done as well, as far as the theme is concerned, you now have something in here, which is which, by the way, I literally hate, but is the Datto Rmm theme. For those of you who are using the Datto Rmm with the new interface, I don't particularly like it, only because I don't like dark mode, but this gives you the ability to actually now theme Autotask in the same color scheme as the Datto Rmm stuff as well. So you can go ahead and just change completely how your theme looks, and you'll be able to see that it's now kind of looking very similar to the same colors as the Datto Rmm stuff, which doesn't look very nice, to be honest. So there's not a huge amount of updates in this particular release. They are, I guess, fairly significant updates, especially around things like the company and contacts information. But you know, there's just that really, and the configuration item stuff. So if you wanted to know a little bit more about these and what's coming out from Autotask, and you can actually do this now in your own version as well. If you click the little question mark, and then, oh, even that's changed now. That's the first time I've actually seen that. So if you click on 2021.1, what you'll now see is that it shows you what the release notes are. And here you can go and have a look at all of these things that have changed in the product. What this will also do, and should also be doing, is telling you when the new one is coming out. And I think because it's already released, it doesn't show it to me on there. But if I go back in and I actually look at, let's just look at my Autotask in here. And if we said 2021.1, this will give us an indication as to when these releases are coming out. And if I click into this, so we can see here, you know, UK limited release is coming out on May the 12th. America East is May the 26th. And for those of us in the UK, we're going to have to wait until June for this release to come out. So what you should see, for those of you guys who are in the US, you're going to start on May the 26th. You're going to see all of these new things being added to the product. So, and I know we've got one or two people, I think, on the call from Australia. So our friends in Australia are going to have to wait not too much longer than we are in the UK, but June the 9th is when these things are coming out. So I see there is a question. I'm just going to go to the questions on here. So Tim McBride is asking, with the new account creation screens process, is there any indication that existing auto forms will break? I use an auto form hidden on my website for new customer creation. That's a great question, Tim. I don't have an answer to that for you. I wouldn't have thought so, because you know, it's just going to write into those fields. So I guess where it may break is if you've got user-defined fields that the auto form is writing into, and then there's a company category that doesn't have those user-defined fields, it may break at that point. But like I said, when I first started this is literally brand new. I've only seen this in the last day myself. I've only just got access to this release. But that's a great question. I can test that for you, Tim, and I will come back to you as soon as I can. Okay, so I know I'd set this thing for an hour. It's not a huge, massive release. I just wanted to kind of go through and give you guys a very quick rundown of what this is all about and how it works, and at least from my take on it. So if there's any other specific questions that anyone else would like to ask, I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, I'll wrap it up early, and then what I'll do is give you guys a copy of this recording. Obviously, I would ask that you don't sort of distribute this outside, because you know, this is such a brand new release right now that you know, I've managed to get access to this database with these new releases on them, just so I can learn and play with them. But you know, by all means, have a look and you know, go through it yourself. So if anyone else has any questions. Oh, I think there's another one. No, I think I've answered that. Cool. Okay. Well, I hope that was useful. And I'm sorry I rushed through it really quickly. Like I said, it was, I've only just seen it, so I'm still trying to learn a lot of the stuff myself. But I think it looks quite nice. I think there's some good stuff, and you can certainly see the way Autotask is going with all of these screens. they're all going to kind of look very much the same, you know, very soon. So hope that's been useful to everyone. And thank you for coming on the webinar.